New Zealand. Let's assume that New Zealand keeps doing what it does. We make, create, we dream, we make, create our products, we send them out to the world, and we hope for the best. Literally, we hope for the best. Hope we can sell them. We're out there in the world with hundreds, literally, of other countries doing exactly the same. They dream, they make, they create, they sell to the world. What differentiates us, do you think? Question. How do we differentiate ourselves? Like me, many of you would have travelled the world and noticed that other countries have lakes and rivers and mountains. They have beautiful parks, they have beautiful places, they have beautiful buildings. What makes us think we're so special? I would like to say to you that I think it's more than lakes and rivers and mountains. I think it's people, people, people. Our people are everything. Our people will be the custodians of our environment. Our people will make the decisions about our environment, and we need to help them do it. The only way I can think of in my fairly long experience of this, of working in various businesses, as Murray has said, in New Zealand and around the world, is that the systems we use now are not doing it for us. They're not helping us to be custodians of our environment. They're modelled on doing something quickly and getting a quick return. They're modelled on us doing it for ourselves. That very intense need to do something special for ourselves. It doesn't very often involve other people. Design is my field, and design is changing. Many of you will be familiar with this text here. Design is the intent to create something that didn't exist before. An object, service, system. Many of you would have not thought about it in terms of a service or a system. But what I want to speak about today is another step beyond design. It's called design thinking. That's all very well. You can say, well, I'm thinking about design, so there's design thinking, But we've called it design thinking, and I think we often don't really realise what a big step this is. Whereas design is about a group of creative people coming up with an idea and working through the solution and offering it to the world, design thinking by its very nature is about people. It's about creating value for people. Not just one person, for people. And design thinking is creating a space for more people to work together developing solutions. It's creating that space. The word diversity has come up here. Diversity is essential to design thinking. Diversity is the hot topic right now. It's being bandied about all over the place, and those of you in business will see it in business magazines. We've got to have more diversity on boards. We've got to have more diversity. I ask you, what do we mean by diversity? It's a strange one. I've looked at this very closely. I felt it very closely. I've done my board training and I felt this quite viscerally myself. Diversity, as long as you don't ask too many questions. Be as diverse as you like, as long as you don't fiddle with the status quo. What is it you do? Well, that's too far out for us. Give us lawyers, accountants, greatest respect to you, lawyers and accountants. Give us lawyers and accountants. We know what they do. We can define what they do. And so that's our diversity. And just for good measure, we'll throw in the odd person with a different colour skin, or the odd woman, or someone with brown shoes and someone with black shoes, whatever. But diversity, I'd like to put to you, is not about that. It's about the way you're wired. It's about the way you structure questions. if you're prepared to challenge the status quo. Diversity isn't a comfortable place, and for a lot of people it's not comfortable being with people who think outside of the square. But design thinking is providing that place, and I suggest to you it's a tool for going forward for New Zealand. For design thinking to take place, we need new foundations, brand new foundations. We can't do it the way we've always done it. It doesn't work. We can't work with divisive tools. You win, therefore you're out. It doesn't work anymore. We're a mixed bunch now. You know, people of my generation have seen the most change. I was born in 1948. I guarantee there's a few here born in 1948. We've seen a great deal of change. You know, world is not like that anymore. We have many more things to consider than we did before. The first step in the design process is clarity of purpose. Once we get our team together, our diverse team, really diverse team, we have to decide what is the purpose. Why are we here? Because you are going to argue. You are going to have tension. That's what diversity is all about. I'm afraid what we've done for many years is run away from diversity. We don't like argument, just pat it down. But good argument is what we need. But to do that, you need first the clarity of purpose. Together you must develop that clear picture. What are our goals here? What are we setting out to do? What are our challenges or opportunities? And we go from there. I've worked with a lot of people, in fact a very diverse group of people over the years. I've invited diversity in. I have a certain bag of skills. They're quite narrow, as a matter of fact. You know, I like to think big, but my skill set's quite narrow. I need a lot of people around me to help me do what I imagine it is that I want to do. And I invited a lot of people in to help me with this, make no mistake, including lawyers. This is the model we came up with. It was about 10 or 12 years ago now, and it's been tested many, many times since. It's a space for bringing creatives and so-called analyticals together. I'm sorry if I have to be so arbitrary there, but creatives and analyticals will do, won't it? First we set purpose. We have a multi-dimensional team, let's say. We set purpose. The first stage of the model is exploration. We're looking to generate ideas. Any idea will do, crazy as it can be. We need to know what we have, we need to know what the external context is. Then we have an idea bank. Idea banking is about separating ideas from ego. You cannot have a good process unless you separate ideas from ego. That is the problem. You go into a committee room, what you've got is ego-laden ideas. You can't separate the person from the idea. They'll vouch for their idea till kingdom come. So we have to separate. The model itself is exploration and refinement. The model itself, the arrow going from left to right, is showing where the analyticals like a linear process. That's okay. I admire them for that. I can't do it, but I admire them for that. A linear process. The crazy lines are the creatives, right? They like to iterate. They really drive you crazy. They iterate all over the place. The idea is to bring them both through at the same time. We have a refinement process. I won't go through it now, but there are a number of steps to the refinement process based on what is important in our society today. The end of the game is quite simple. It's about value aligned with purpose. Together, we create value that aligns with our purpose. My late brother John Britten is I suppose you'd call him a member of the New Zealand loosely held Hall of Fame. There was a weekend recently at Ruapuna in Christchurch where people came from around the world to pay homage to John. He's been dead 20 years. And personally, greatest respect, John. It's time to move on. I love my brother. I came back to New Zealand to work with my brother, but this cannot do. We cannot be harking back to old models all the time, because guess what? John didn't get it all right. 20 years ago, the world was a different place. He couldn't have done what he did then, now. He could barely do it then. You know, the truth is that John couldn't bear the idea of systems. He couldn't bear the idea of anyone disagreeing with him. There are some people in the audience today who know that very well. I mean, I think he couldn't take advice. He couldn't listen. He was on this singular road to achieving a personal goal. The goal didn't allow any space for anyone else's goals, actually, or what New Zealand might do with this and be advantaged by it. And as I say, he occupied a good space at the time, and I loved him very much. And this is not about standing here criticising my brother, but it's time to move on. And there are many people like John in our hero archives. They were heroes in their own time. Let's respect them, but let's look for new heroes. I have a dream. Yeah. I have a dream about New Zealand. I chose to come back here. I was away for a very long time, having my adventures. I chose to come back here. The country is a very compelling place, but it's also frustrating. We seem to go round and round and round in circles. Haven't we had this conversation before? Haven't we had this conversation before? But at the same time, we're known globally as a country that does things differently. We're known to have high standards. We're known to be honest. Right? We're thought to be clean and green. I only wish it was the truth. But we have these opportunities. We have the resources to be different, to stand up in the world and be proud of what we are and who we and what we do. But it's going to require new tools and new thinking. Old models will not do. My plea with you today is to think about design thinking and think about how it can bring people together in a different way to make decisions about our future. How we can live within our natural systems. How we can celebrate our diversity. And how we can show the world how to do it. Now, what about that as an export idea? Showing the world how to live differently. It's a lightweight export. We could become teachers and mentors to the world. Now, isn't that a new kind of leadership?